Lightning you play, like those are normally 15%. That's huge, and like Nature's Claim just hurts you so bad. You end up this game where like you prevent your opponent from going off one turn, and then they're just going to do it again the next, and you can't kill them on that pass back because you had a Nature's Claim instead of another answer.
The thing is that there's this really interesting tension between 1 mana and 2 mana, though. So with the match right now, we just have our first action from our G-man, Gerry Thompson, with a Bloodghast, which is facing off from Lotus Cobra. I still can't tell if that's Rug or Bug or if it's something else. But
you never know.
Yeah. But as you were talking about, that classic opening right there, you've got to be able to take care of that.
Yeah, he has to have a removal spell here. And, I mean, he undoubtedly does. He's the black-red vampire deck, and he kept the 6-card hand. And
I mean, there's only, like, Arc Trail and Lightning Bolt generally, and I guess he also has the Gatekeeper as an option, but I mean, he doesn't necessarily have it. I mean, he's pausing there, you know? I mean, there it is.
Ooh, wow. Now, some pretty nasty stuff can happen this turn. I think, Gerry might actually be on a whole nother level. Gerry might expect that his opponent is going to maybe play another Lotus Cobra this turn. He's going to 2-for-1 him with a Arc Trail. So,
speak of the devil, there's a second Lotus Cobra.
I could see Gerry here, like having an Arc Trail in his hand, 2-for-1ing his opponent. His opponent also could have gone Land Oracle, and then Gerry could have gotten like the biggest blowout of an Arc Trail in the history of Kansas City. There hasn't been that hard of a beating since the Beaver Traders of 1805. Were attacked by local Choctaw officials.
Okay, and he does exactly next leveling like you said. I don't know that I would have had that patience. I think that I, might have just...
I mean, Gerry's pretty good at Magic. I don't know if you knew that.
I'd heard something like that. I mean, the danger there, a sack land would have meant that there was a Jace on the table.
And
yeah, he's going to think about blocking that pulse tracker.
I think he's more thinking about blocking the reaches, maybe. But
yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even see the reach, honestly. And is that all she wrote? It's got a sack.
That might just be it. Yeah, Darien has a fetch land to go with that Cobra, so he could have an explosive turn, but you'd have to be pretty explosive to come back from being at 6 when your opponent has 6 points of power on the board alongside some man lands and burn spells in his deck.
I mean, he needs to have a sideboard card like a Baloth hit the table right now.
Yeah. And I doubt that's going to be in his main.
Yeah, I don't think so. You never know. We'll see.
I've seen stranger things.
Yeah, I mean, he's got access to 5 mana now.
He could have access to a ton of mana, conceivably. He'd combo off with this Lotus Cobra. He'd explore into another fetch land and, Harrow and all sorts of shenanigans could happen, but his hand really just needs to be the perfect cards for that to happen.
Yeah.
And with how the game has gone thus far, I can't see him having an Explorer because he would have played it, and he clearly drew the land this turn.
Had a small shuffle mishap.
I'm like, okay, that was not cool. Put this over here.
Yeah. That was a Mike Long-esque shuffle.
Well, I mean,
card off his deck, hand up in his hand.
Well, everyone saw, so I mean, there's no harm, no foul. No harm, no foul.
It clearly was a mistake.
Yeah. Here we go.
Please make your way up to the main event stage. We have something very important of yours that we'd like to reunite you with. Jim Mattingly.
Yep.
Okay, that was vague.
Jim Mattingly apparently has left his puppy somewhere in the convention hall. Somebody found it, and he's currently running up to the judge table, being reunited with his adorable puppy.
So I'm not sure where these attacks are going. It could be a 2-split, or it could be... Does he go to 1? Yeah, okay, so it was all on him.
Yeah.
There we go. I was hoping that would be the case, but... What a vile position to be in. Wow.
Yeah, that's got to be it. Did he brainstorm there?
No, he bounced. He bounced the pulse tracker.
On the very last turn before
Yeah,
he died? Not the one where... I know he bounced the pulse tracker the turn before, but
It was the
when he
same-
drew his card for his turn before...
He cast the Jace, bounced the pulse tracker. Gerry attacks him to knock him to 1,
Underwhelming.
then relays the pulse tracker, and then he scoops, basically.
Oh, okay. I thought he drew his card for his turn and then scooped, like, as if he had an out. And I was wondering why he didn't activate his Jace to brainstorm to look for more outs.
Right, right.
Because he drew his card and then scooped. And he could have
Drawn
seen
3
4,
more, yeah.
instead of seeing 1. But maybe he just didn't have any outs. That's also a very real possibility.
Okay, so let's see if we got Rugger Bug.
I see Battlements.
Battlement's a good card.
I see Frost Titans. Wormcoil Engines. Oh my.
Maybe he's just...
Tumble Magnets.
I think he's just Ugg. I think he is just Ugg.
He is an Ugg deck. Oh man, Ugg. That does not bode well for Gerry. I'm thinking about like what an Ugg deck would have in its sideboard, and there's got to be
Well, I mean...
any number of cards for this matchup. He's got to have, you know, Balox.
Yeah, did we see Genesis
Lots of them.
Wave?
I did not see a Genesis Wave, but I saw Tumble Magnets, so
The first two?
where there be Tumble Magnets, you know, Genesis Waves are often looming.
I'm curious, you know, if
I mean,
did
some
we
people are-
see Primeval Titan, or was it just Frost Titan?
I did not see Primeval Titan when I saw him shuffling, but that doesn't mean it's not there.
Yeah, I know that most of the time when I've seen pure Ugg decks, it's, you know, been like a combination, like 2 Frost, 2 or 3 Primeval, sometimes 4 Primeval, and Avenger of Zendikar as the top end. It's been a while since I've seen one, though, so...
I mean, I think playing 4 Frost Titans has got to be the way to do it, right? If you're
I like-
playing a Genesis Wave deck, because you're
Is
trying
it-
to
is
just
it- if
you're just
it's-
trying to like explode.
Is it Genesis Wave? If it is, then yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Some people are arguing that they're not sure if it's Rug or Bug, but he didn't search for the Consume the Meek, which probably means it's Rug. But if he was Rug, he could have searched for like Pyroclasm or something like that.
Yeah.
So unless he didn't have it in his deck, but then he's scooping and telling his opponent he doesn't have Pyroclasm all at once.
Yeah. That was what I was thinking when the scoop happened. I was like, at least, you know...
At least make him think you have a Consume or Pyroclasm.
Yeah, at least
maybe.
make him think that you have a red mana in your deck.
Or maybe the Consumes or the Plasms are in his sideboard, and he wants him to think, oh, I don't have them at all.
Yeah.
You never know.
I've got a-
Or he's
I wonder-
blue-green.
I wonder how audible we are to the
probably,
players over there. Do you have any idea, Rashad? That'd be great.
I doubt they can hear us. They're pretty far away.
Okay.
Here we go.
Now, one of the things with a deck like Black-Red Vampires, you know, if we were watching the Conley Woods match, for example, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a very different deck. You know, I'm willing to bet that if Darien Kraig has put in any kind of due diligence, he has a particular, well-prepared plan for Gerry's deck. And, you know, the question is, you know, so Gerry chose this deck because he basically doesn't care. He thinks it's good enough that people's plans against him aren't going to matter. You know, like he's going to have good enough numbers, he's going to do well enough, it's not going to be a big deal.
And I'm sure Gerry didn't just pick this deck out of a hat.
There's no way. There's no
Yeah.
way.
I was afraid you kept playing a land. I was afraid that you would play something like that. I couldn't.
He has to think it's right.
I'm going to play 3 mana in 3 turns. I'm just going to run.
Falcon forward wrath.
Gerry's probably going to go to 6 here. Looks like he's landless.
So he's trying to recreate the conditions that caused him to win last game.
Yeah, yeah. This was reasonable.
I'm good.
Gerry has done very well in the last year. He came in second place at a standard 5K, playing his Dredgevine deck. He came in second place at 2 Legacy tournaments with Ooze Survival and Reanimator.
Does he have any other top finishes?
Well, he won the first Star City Games Invitational.
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of a big deal.
Yeah.
He was playing Valakut there, and that was about a week after his win at Grand Prix Nashville.
He won a Grand Prix too?
Yeah, that was about a month ago.
Yeah.
I've
Running
he
hot,
was
is that the
beaming
phrase?
After yes, running hot is the phrase. He was beaming after he won the Grand Prix. I feel like it was a very well deserved thing.
Yeah.
I think when he won in Denver, there were a lot of things that marred that win. He had his collection stolen the same weekend. I think even though he won, he wasn't necessarily in that state of mind of just like that eudaimonia kind of feeling. And I think he really got to experience that at the Grand Prix.
Nice
so
word
it's a
choice.
good thing. And
Okay,
Yeah.
we're about to start. Looks like we got a keeper.
starting up this game.
Oh, already prepared. Darien knows the play off the top of his library, his hand.
Look at that.
That was a nice little flourish.
I like it. Gerry's going to play a Swamp here instead of his Blackcleave Cliffs. I mean, if he draws 2 more Blackcleave Cliffs in a row, that might seem a little sketchy. But actually, not playing the red source will induce his opponent into playing a card like Lotus Cobra.
I was just about to say that.
For him to use a removal spell on. So pro. Lotus Cobra makes turns very, very scary. Very, very quickly. Duress down.
No, we got
See
Worm
what's happening
Coil.
here. We
There's
got
the new Titan Worm Coil
We got a
Titan.
Worm Coil engine.
Is that a
we
Primeval
have,
Titan over there? I see 2 Primeval Titans, or
I
is
see a
that
pair
one?
of Primeval Titans. I see, or that might be a pair of Genesis Waves.
Well,
There's 1 Primeval Titan, Eldrazi Monument, Worm Coil Engine. Is that a Genesis Wave?
not much mystery left
And
in
then-
that deck.
Yeah.
I can't tell what that first card is. Is that a Tree Speaker? What is that? Gerry is having
Oh, that's an
discarded.
Obstinate Baloth alongside a Genesis Wave. That is my, that's what I said and I meant what I said.
Two. Best.
And Darien Kraig needs to be playing third land. It's been an issue multiple games in a row. Colastria Highborn. Now that's what makes this Black-Red Vampire deck so exciting, and it's also what gives it like the ability to play an endgame. Like it attacks so quickly, and you're really trying to steal games. But once your opponent has control of the game, you can just tend them out of nowhere by just doing very crazy things with Viscera Seer and Highborn. And if you happen to have a Bloodghast in the mix, it's a 3-card combo, but all the cards cost 1 or 2, and your opponent essentially just dies. So.
Kraig very wisely does not block that Highborn with his overgrown battlements, trying to avoid a terrible moment of Arc Trail, just devastating his board.
I mean, this is a great attack. I mean, his opponent can't really block.
Gatekeeper, maybe? It's only 2 mana. Another Highborn. If he draws a land here, it's going to be pretty golden.
Yeah. It's kind of a shame. Like, it's tough to not keep, like, a 2-lander with a Cobra. You have to trust your deck to a certain degree. And, if you do a lot of testing, you can maybe know your deck well enough to know that you're supposed to mulligan that, but you might also know your deck well enough to know that you're not supposed to mulligan that.
He lays a Tree Speaker and levels it. Arc Trail here will be just... Oh, there it is.
2 and 1.
Yep. Doesn't feel very good.
Does not feel good at all.
Did you say that you think he has a Baloth in his hand?
Go.
I'm fairly confident that he has Baloth in his hand.
Okay, so is this the belated land?
No,
No.
looks like it's a Jace. A Jace is very difficult to cast.
Oh, yeah.
There be no filter lands in the standard format.
I mean,
Gerry T is a little flooded here, and
yeah, I was going to say, he
he's
doesn't have
not
very much
really
on the
getting in
board.
for that much damage.
And there's that a Lava Claw reaches? If so, that'll help. There we go.
Best.
Huh. It's nice. The reaches can bash past the battlement, which which is pretty good.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
And,
That's a lot of damage being threatened there.
it is a lot of damage.
That's 9 damage being threatened.
You, sir, are dead to a bolt.
I don't think he can block it. I think he just has to suck it up and hope nothing bad happens.
Gatekeeper.
Oh. That is devastating. Here's a Bailoff way very late to the party.
Game 4. The 10.
Puts him to 10.
Go.
He pretty much has to block the Lava Claw reaches.
He is lethal on board. He just activates his reaches, bashes with everybody, and then activates the Highborn.
Can't-
He just blocks the
Usually I drum
blocks
over
the
one land.
reaches, I guess.
No
Yeah, he
land,
blocks the
actually.
reach.
And
Started
they
with
take
2, both
6,
lands.
okay.
Never
Yeah, he's not dead yet. I mean, but he's fine with that
It's
trade.
gonna take a
It's
miracle.
acceptable.
If you not to have any red spells.
Yeah, I mean, the Bailoff is such an unbelievably powerful card in this matchup.
I have to remind you about that ability before you choose.
Well, lays that land first, just to really make sure that his opponent respects
I mean, Gerry
the
can
Lava
just
Claw.
keep swinging regardless of
Oh,
what his
yeah.
opponent plays with these Highborns in play.
It's up to you.
Let's make this 4 power. Sure, I'll go to 4.
Down to 4 life.
Dress me
You
again.
got a duress?
It is a duress. So there's Jace.
And a Jace. This year.
Is that another Bailoff now?
If it's not a Bailoff, then it's just... Then there's nothing left for him. Yep, there we go.
Yep. That'll do it. Gerry Thompson wins his first round of this tournament. Gerry Thompson had 2 buys. He's one of the few
Get 2
people
landers
here
most of
who's
the time. I usually draw one. I got lots.
Yeah.
25.
packing that many free wins
Yeah.
this tournament.
In the background of that image, we can see Alex
I had 10 lands
with
in my
his
backyard.
Star
Alex
City
Branchini
Star
with
City
his,
Games shirt.
Star City Games shirt on. There he is, looking over. It's a nice view of his boyish good looks.
At the other set of matches, it looks like Conley Wood's match is already over.
End step, to ferry in play.
That's exciting, actually. That's pretty
Jason
exciting.
leads off with a pulse tracker, an aggressive start. It's a very good play when your opponent opens up with an island.
Possible bug player over there. Looks like a Grave Titan.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this was a bug deck. It could also just be a straight up blue-black control deck. Jason doesn't have any red mana. Bug is one of the big archetypes to come out in this tournament as a, breakout deck. I was playing games with it last night, and it seemed like I couldn't even imagine playing anything else. The Saraseer from Jason. It's not the most optimal of 2 drops.
Yeah, there's so many things he
Swamp
could have
play.
dropped, which means that he, is
He might be setting something up, though.
Good. Accept.
Yep.
he's got all 3 colors.
Take 3.
Jason's bashing in, putting Donnie down to 14.
Next pitch.
Sure.
And we got a Hex Mage joining the party. Now, looking at Jason's hand, I haven't seen anything other than black. I didn't get a perfectly clear draw or gaze at it, but oh, there we go. There's a red card. Okay.
Whatever it is.
No, I don't think that's a red card. I think that may be a dark tutelage.
Maybe you're right.
Garrick's really good in this spot. A 3 power guy is just so good
Okay.
against the vampire deck.
There we go. He's just
Alright.
drawn an Arc Trail.
Just drew an Arc Trail.
Okay, so we do have confirmation that he is black-red. It looked like he might not have been for a moment.
He's probably going to Gatekeeper here. Then the Hex Mage will go at the Garrick, and the other 2 are going to hit him in the face.
Sounds like a really reasonable set of plays.
I don't even think his deck has a better play for this turn.
Yeah. I mean, like, essentially
Oh, that's still me.
gatekeepering away 2 cards.
They're not that good.
It's like, man, sack line and I lose blood.
It's still just 1 card. And Garrick still didn't, you know.
That token is a card. I will call it a card. We can
So we're
disagree on.
chalking Garrick up to like a draw 2, you know, draw 2, gain 2.
Well, at me.
Yes. It's like
Take
5
both?
total.
Better none.
Second main.
Sure.
Huh,
Wow.
that's very interesting.
Well, he wanted to get in 2 damage more than he wanted to have that Hex Mage in play.
Explore. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bit shocking to me.
Yeah, that was very surprising to me.
I mean, you're going to get that 2 damage back on the subsequent turn.
You know, he may be right though, because you know, if he's trying to like lethal out his opponent quickly, the thing is he will not be able to attack after this next turn. This is his last turn where he gets to attack.
But he gets that damage back by having the creature in
Right,
play.
and then he has something that like deals with a Jace. So
Text him.
Yep.
he doesn't know he's getting that extra attack though. He could have gotten Consume the Meat. His opponent just had the land for it now. This turn. Maybe he was playing around that.
Go Village.
Sure. Wait.
Dark Tutelage. I'm a pretty big fan of that card.
What's that?
Do you mean by shield?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Donnie is still in real trouble, even though he's got a Grave Titan that he can cast.
Oh, let it go.
Yeah, I mean, a red source is pretty bad news for Donnie at this point.
Well, I still don't think it's going to matter. Like,
I don't think it is either, so I'm not really impressed.
The Pulse Tracker can put him down to 3, regardless of how many blockers he has. And then a Bolt is good enough to end it.
Okay, so Mana Leak for that Tutelage. That's actually pretty devastating.
That's pretty big.
There is a Bolt in hand. No, it's Arc Trail. Arc Trail. My bad.
Well, I think he has a Highborn in his hand. So if he gets this, if Donnie casts the Grave Titan this turn, the game is over.
Yes.
2.
He can just kill him by,
Dangerous.
you know,
Gotta do something.
attacking the Pulse Tracker and then, you know, sacrificing stuff to Viserys here. He doesn't even need to attack the Pulse Tracker. It's just lights out.
Jason, you on 17 or 19?
I'm at 19.
Nice. This is Adrian Sullivan here with
Donnie's
Star
actually
City
at
Games
3
Live.
Right now. He fetched.
Donnie's on
This is Adrian Sullivan here with Star City Games Live, bringing you coverage of the Kansas City Standard Open Series. I'm here with Jacob Van Lunen, and we're watching the 4th round matchup between, well, you can see Jason Gallagher right now, who is just crushing Donnie Lowland. Jason easily came out of the gates with a really aggressive Vampires draw from a black-red Vampires deck. Donnie Noland trying to hang on to a semblance of life with a black-blue-green bug control deck.
Yeah, this Vampires deck seems to be doing very well today.
Yeah.
I was talking a bit with some folks. I was walking around in between the break, and everybody I saw who was playing Black Red Vampires was 3-0. So,
Well, I mean, you might have been talking to some of the really good players, though, too.
yes, I was talking to some decent players, but I talked to some decent players playing a lot of other decks also, and not all of them were 3-0.
Yeah, looking at Donnie's face there, he looks pretty nonplussed. You know, just gonna go to the next game, Going to push past that pretty resounding defeat. Probably is going to have, what I'm going to guess, Obstinate Baloth, maybe Consuming Vapors, maybe Consume the Meek.
Yeah, Consume the Meek is a card that he's almost definitely going to have post-board here. I was talking to Nick Spagnuolo last night. He really likes Lighthouse Chronologist in this deck.
Right.
Just 3 toughness dudes are so good. Like, Bolt kills them, but they have to have the Bolt, and if they don't, an entire team of 2 power guys with 1 toughness and a few 2/2s is pretty badly hurt just by the, you know.
It looks like Donnie was briefly considering Spreading Seas as a possible choice, which is interesting and also problematic. So he didn't end up going with Spreading Seas.
I think he made a mistake. Here. I think Spreading Seas is the best card he has.
It's going to work at 7.
That's interesting.
PM.
This is the black.
Every card in his deck requires, like, is so mana intensive.
My boss told me I could give him $100 and he worked for me.
Everything costs solid black mana that's black. If you're not bringing in Spreading Seas in this matchup, I have no idea why you have Spreading Seas in your deck. You're not playing against Jump anymore. Like, Spreading Seas is the best card.
My work option.
Like, actually, that's like the card you fear if you're playing Black Red Vampires.
Like, fully, so sure. Obviously, I chose Paris.
Like a line of play that includes Spreading Seasing any black-red dual land can actually be really devastating in terms of the development of Jason or any black-red vampire's hand. Their hand can get just stranded.
Like, if they have multiple gatekeepers, things like that, like...
I loved your...
turning a land into an island is essentially a stone ring.
Like, it was one of the best venues I've ever been to.
And it's like any land.
In terms
any
of
land that you hit with Spreading Seas in this matchup, every card costs all colorless mana. There are no cards that cost any colorless mana except like a 1 or 2 of Dark Tutelage.
Yeah.
So, Spreading Seas is actually a 2 mana cantrip stone ring.
I think there is Arc Trail, but Arc Trail is not a big portion of what makes the black-red vampires good in this matchup. But regardless, your point stands.
Yeah, I think
all of the real action from the deck tends to come from colored mana.
And what I mean by cantrip is a card that you play that draws you a card in addition to having an effect.
Like $40 for extended, and I'm sure it's
That's classic D&D gamer speak that ended up finding its way into Magic right when those cards were first created back in Ice Age block.
In Ice Age, I believe they were actually slow trips because you drew the extra card at the beginning of your next turn.
They got called slow trips once the fast trips.
Once real cantrips came to fruition.
Yeah. Okay, so we got an opening here. Creeping Tar Pit from Donnie Noland versus the other manland, Lava Claw reaches.
In fairness, it's not like I'm not going to get it, you know?
Yeah. I mean,
Now imagine if he's Spreading Seas here. just imagine a world where he has Spreading Seas in his hand.
Yeah.
I'd just like everybody to do that pretty good.
I run these things. So it tells you something.
Especially on the play. Oh man.
I can see a real difference, though, between on the play and on the draw with Spreading Seas. On the draw, you might cast that Spreading Seas and just be 1 turn behind the whole time with just taking that action when you might have done something else with it.
I think I still, you know. I don't think I would ever take Seas out in this matchup. I mean, the forums are talking about Spreading Seas right now, and yeah, I actually think I would rather be casting Spreading Seas against vampires than Sinkhole. if Sinkhole costs 1 U, I would rather be casting Spreading Seas.
The card draw.
Yeah, it's a stone rain that cantrips in this matchup.
And we got. I'm guessing it's going to be. There he is.
Sure. 22.
Austin Bailoff is also huge in this matchup, though.
Yeah.
The 4 toughness is really hard for the vampire deck. He really needs a gatekeeper here.
Yep, and I bet you he has it. I just got his feeling.
Got that feeling?
Oh.
Those gatekeepers are really hard to cast when you bring in those Spreading Seas. Things do not look bad for Donnie, though. Donnie on the bug deck on the play is so hard for anybody to beat.
He's got his own Spreading Seas in the form of acidic slime. Now, this card is actually pretty shockingly good here. Like, it's
Yeah.
going to take out 2 cards, period. You know,
Conley was saying that before when we had him in the booth. He was saying that acidic slime is very good against vampires. He was saying that's one reason that he decided to play 4 of that main deck, which surprised me. It's not like when you think about vampires and the way it works, the first card that comes to mind is not a 4 mana 2/2 as a 5 mana 2/2 as a way to fight it, but you know, the slime, just land destruction in general is so good against them. It's very interesting that a deck with so many like 1 and 2 drops can be so greatly affected by land destruction.
And the thing about this is, right, what does Jason do here? Does he take his turn up to get that slime out of the way and then attack? This just buys Donnie another turn to get towards a Titan.
I think Jason here probably just like puts the Dark Tutelage in play.
This seems like a good time for it.
Yeah. I mean, the longer that thing is in play, the better it is. The big issue here, though, is that his opponent could conceivably... Are those... Do you see any Black Sources in play right now? Is that an island underneath that one forest there?
That underneath that is a Creeping Tar Pit.
Oh, he has a Creeping Tar Pit. So, Donnie could just untap and cast a Grave Titan.
Yeah.
Just lock it up.
Donate 18.
I think he does.
Yeah, I mean...
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's
pretty good, too.
Yeah, that'll do. Standard is not short on 6 drops that win games. There are many of them.
I mean,
Magic players, Two-Headed Giant will be starting in about 10 minutes. If you haven't registered yet and would like to do so, now is the time. Please come out to the side of the stage, or my friend Tasha can get you signed up. Once again, this is last call for Two-Headed Giant signups. We will be starting in 10 minutes.
17. Your turn.
Wormcoil is a great card. It's been seeing a lot of extended play lately.
Yeah, Wormcoil, it kind of almost makes the Titans feel a little silly in a certain sense.
I could see him just blocking with the Hexmate and sacrificing it.
Yep.
You know.
Take the tokens off of a swamp. There we go. All of the tokens on your island are gone. What? What does that do? Yeah.
I mean, don't worry, Donnie. That Wormcoil is doing some work.
As long as you don't bounce that Gatekeeper, you should be fine.
Yeah. I mean, even if you do bounce the Gatekeeper, you get 2 3/3s, right?
So even if you make the worst possible play, you're still
you make
okay.
the worst play available, you're still... At 2 4-mana Planeswalkers, for good measure.
Sure.
Yeah.
Solve it over. I mean...
Okay, so what he needs to do here is, let's see,
Still 19.
somehow hypnotize Donnie into cheating really aggressively so that the judge DQs him. I think that's the plan.
Well,
Okay.
I think the plan at this point is win game 3.
17.
Yeah.
I mean, I would almost be very willing to scoop right now just because I don't want to show my opponent anything more off of that tutelage. I mean, if he has anything that's sneaky. He might not have anything sneaky. It might not even matter.
But also scooping right now, like some people, like the concept of scooping early to hide information when you're really far behind is something that I think gets a lot of people into a lot of trouble because people hear pros say that type of thing and tend to scoop earlier than is even necessary.
This is true.
Another thing that happens with scooping early is, you know, yes, he might reveal a card off the top of his deck and show his opponent something his opponent might not know about, but by scooping early, he tells his opponent, I have no way to win through this, which might even give his opponent more information than if he lets him see the cards, because what if he just doesn't have anything to deal with it? Then he's not going to show him anything special.
Right.
You know, all he is like, he's at least leaving it open as, like, an option. So Donnie's probably going to make a 3/3 here. To me, that seems like the best option. He makes a 3/3. He attacks with his Wormcoil. He's going to lose to the Garrick. He may not even attack with the Wormcoil.
Cards. 2.
Yep, the tar pit. It's got 2 tar pits. Looks like he's making them both.
Well,
And then-
before did not gain life.
and
off
then
of
we
his
got
Recoil
Trample.
Engine because
Overrun.
Oh, we overrun it up with those. That's it. That'll do.
The amazing interaction of Death Touch and Trample.
That's 21 damage, and there's only 3 points of toughness on the board, so one more than
So-
Xaxes.
Well, it wouldn't have mattered if he'd had more
It doesn't
toughness.
matter
If he could have had out 3 Grave Titans and if he had no zombies, and it still would have killed him.
I didn't see it at first either.
Death Touch and Trample. He only needs to do 1 damage with the Worm Coil engine, and then he can trample right through.
Probably still be in this game.
You're right.
I mean, it seems like the right call.
Forgot you could split up Death Touch very nicely now.
Yeah.
James game. I was playtesting with Rug, and I actually switched to this deck this morning.
Jason
And
has a look
I-
that kind of says,
every time I would get that
wow,
play,
okay.
I just have like a couple Cobras and some Oracles, and I should be like 15U.
I mean, Jason just felt what it's like to be on the draw against the bug
I
deck.
mean, I was
Yeah.
thinking about just making a guy and
I mean, Explorer is one of those cards that just you can't deny its real power. You know, you have a deck that already has good cards, you speed up to them, and you make your deck a little bit smaller to get there.
Yeah, Explorer ramps you into really absurd things. It's also very interesting how good Acidic Slime was there.
Oh, Acidic Slime was just devastating.
Yeah, the like Donnie's life total of 15 at the end was like it was a soft 15. Like I'm sure there's a ton of burn in Jason's hand. Like that 15 could have like dwindled to 6 very quickly if there wasn't an Acidic Slime on that table to like blow up a land and get that tempo and then force him to use a burn spell on the
Yep.
Acidic Slime. Like things could have gone very differently in that game. So
Going back to the sideboard again, see if anything shows up that's new.
I hate watching myself on video because I always get to see those things you did wrong. That you never
So
thought
it sounds
about.
as though Star City Games' own Lauren Lee is making the top 8 of the PTQ in Roanoke.
it's only 256.
Here,
So it's 356 there?
I think that's 3 hours off there.
No, Roanoke.
I mean, I have no idea what time zone this is.
Central time zone. We're only an hour behind them.
Is this Central? Okay.
Right.
Maybe it was a small PTQ.
Small PTQ. Jeez. Lauren Lee is drawing into the top 8 of a PTQ.
Roanoke.
4 in the afternoon, drawing into the top 8 of a PTQ. It's a pretty nice life. Every time I've ever drawn to the top 8 of a PTQ, it's been like midnight, and I had 3 hours of sleep the night before, and I had just driven 5 hours there. And the prospect of winning the PTQ is very exciting, but in the same way, like on the drive home, I'm like 50-50 to die.
We're good. Unless we're doing 3 out of 5, and this is gonna be a little close.
Okay, so now we have the situation that Game 3, Jason's on the play, which is exactly where he wants to be.
I'll play.
I would have never guessed.
Explorer, even coming at this point, can still even be slow when it comes to how this works out sometimes.
It's not a ramp deck too, but
I mean, there's certain things.
It's possible for the Vampire deck just to be so far out the gate that the Explorer is great, but still like, wow, I've got all this coming at me still.
Yeah. Being on the draw against the deck with that many 1-drops and that many 2-drops. Like, if somebody goes turn 1, Pulse Tracker or Lacerator, and then, like, turn 2, Highborn or Hexmage, you're just in a really rough spot. It's tough.
Thankfully, though, just a Viscera Seer.
That makes a big difference.
Yes.
Every attack is 5% less of this person's life total, so...
fetch.
19.
So Lauren Lee drew in a top 8, but this is the second to last round. So she is.
Attention, Magic
I would,
players.
5, 1, and 1 maybe?
Last call for registration.
Seems
and if
reasonable.
You get a giant sealed challenge. If
I
you
would
like to
I would
play
bet that
and
Lauren
choose
Lee
a
is
giant
battling with
seal, you
Mythic
need
right
to
now.
make your way to the side of
I would bet you're
MTG
correct.
immediately.
I would bet you're correct.
That is her deck of choice. She won a PTQ playing Mythic in the standard season that recently happened. Be cool to see her
Do
take
it again?
2 formats with the same deck.
To explore all 3 games.
Okay, the best possible play here for Donnie, I think, probably is explore into a land.
Game 1.
That's fair.
This is like a pretty unimpressive constructed start for an aggro deck, going 1 power guy, 2 power guy. In a world of plated GMP, it's a goblin guide.
What do you think of the mana leaks that Donnie has in on the draw here for this matchup?
Put them both on top. Both on top.
I don't know, I feel like by the time you're able to cast the mana leaks, you kind of need to tap out on your own turn in order to, you know, like deal with the onslaught.
Yeah, I feel pretty similarly. I could see it on the play because that can help you stifle that onslaught, but
Things are heating up.
okay.
Highborn is just so good here.
He wants a green source. Wow. That was not what he wanted to be having his start be.
I mean, he bottomed 2 cards of that preordained, so he is digging.
Is that a forest he's looking at?
Hand on the face. That is, if anybody here has ever read Caro's Book of Tells, if somebody touches their face during a match, you can probably assume that they are not too happy with their position. It's a sign of bluffing. So when people attack into boards where it's awkward when they attack and they're touching their face, block. It's a helpful tip for all those who are looking to take their game to the next level.
Just don't get too caught in the Princess Bride game.
3.
Obviously, he knows that I would be touching my face. But you must have realized I would realize that. Yeah, that is a classic Magic the Gathering strategy book. Caro's Book of Tells.
Yeah, Caro's Book of Tells is probably one of the most important books to read for somebody who wants to be
If you're
like,
serious
a high-level
about
Magic
this,
player.
yeah, if you're serious about it, go to the bookstore and get one.
Donnie is agonizing over which land to play. Maybe he's agonizing over order of operations.
Spreading Seas. He's got the forest he needs, but he's also got 5 damage coming in, knock him down to half-life.
I'll fetch 4.
And when you're 10 and your opponent has a Viserys and a Highborn in play, you cannot feel very good. I'd like to give a shout out here for I am too pro for words.
Next time.
Get a 10.
Okay.
Only on 10.
Looks like a handful of red on the other side of the table. No red to cast it with.
I mean,
Acidic
then Donnie
slime
may
again?
have a shot here. I mean, at a 6.
Oh.
I mean, Acidic Slime's pretty good here. Like, taking that Black Source away is a lot more powerful than it seems. Like, you know, Jason wants to be able to cast spells and have black mana for that Highborn. And Highborn is so valuable right now.
Yeah.
And the slime means that, ooh, that is also very good.
I'm not gonna lie, I like that better than a slime right now. Even if he goes down and casts the Gatekeeper, I still like it better.
Yeah, I mean, I did not know he had that in
Attention
his hand.
players,
That
in
is
the two-headed giant challenge, your
for this
seedings for
spot
deck
right now.
construction are posted at side events. Players in two-headed giant, your seedings for deck construction are posted on the zip banner
Things will
at
turn around
side
pretty quickly
events.
here for Jason.
Your head judge, Steve, is currently raising his arm in the air. Please report to him. Your tables are numbered. and he will get your tournament started. Again, 2HG, your seedings for deck construction are posted.
Yeah, for those of you thinking about Caro's Book of Tells, C-A-R-O, when I say that that is the one of the most important books for Magic strategy, it's clearly not written with Magic in mind, but it doesn't matter. It's a book that it will change the way you look at playing.
And a lot of it is irrelevant to Magic.
Yes,
a lot of it has to do with things that don't exist in Magic.
Chips, yes.
And, you know, like... And like there are things like if your opponent holds their cards in their hand above the table, like
how your opponent holds a cigarette.
Magic players all do that, you know? Exactly. There are things like, you know, like if your opponent is puffing away on their cigarette, then their hand is strong, and if they've stopped smoking it, you know,
I don't remember the last time I was at a
holding their
Magic
breath.
event with opponent smoking a cigarette in it, but
I haven't played many of those either. Yeah. All those Magic events that happened in 1925, you know.
Yeah, I think you could just go back to the 70s and have the cigarettes coming in. Okay, we've got two creatures marching into the Bailoff. One will be munched. This is actually an interesting question. Like, I almost kind of want to eat that seer.
I mean, it takes away like an entire route to victory.
There we go. Yeah, there's the seer.
Let's try. I mean, if Jason doesn't play land here, the slime is basically just lights, right?
I think that it's mostly correct. There are still paths, you know, like he can get some stuff off the top after that, but it's pretty bad.
1912?
1910, after attack.
Jason 19, Donnie.
Back down to 10 life. Look at all that red in the hand.
Yeah, that's another important one. When people are shuffling their hand and playing a combo deck, you can often assume that they need to draw a specific card. They're looking for a certain card.
Here we go. 5-drop
Or the slow
slime.
peel off the top is another clue for that.
Devastating. Devastating.
It's pretty game breaking. 4 toughness makes this really hard.
And then here, of course, is the red source.
Again, this is Jacob Van Lunen here with Adrian Sullivan. We're in Kansas City here at the Star City Games Open Series inaugural event for 2011, featuring a round 4 feature match between Donnie Nolan and Jason Gallagher. Things are looking very good for Donnie right now.
Well, he's just been knocked down to 9, and he's going to go down to 5 with an opponent who has some burn in their hand.
So you get a 6? I'm sorry, to 5?
Yeah, I mean this 2 extra black sources just, you know, he has a good amount of power on the table right now.
Yes, and I believe that there is a Spreading Seas in Donnie's hand.
And it's actually nice. Now he can attack with both guys, and his opponent, what is it? If he blocks the Highborn, he can put first strike damage on the stack, and then, well, not damage on the stack, that doesn't work anymore, but he can use first strike damage, and then before regular combat damage, he can sacrifice the Vampire Hexmage, and then when damage happens and the Highborn dies, he can sacrifice that, and then he's got lethal. So...
And there's the Seas is definitely knocking out the red once again.
So the game is over. If Jason makes the right series of plays, Jason has to attack with both creatures, and can then sacrifice the Hexmage before regular combat damage, and Jason can steal this game.
He's got the red source in hand, a new red source. That's it.
The shaking hands means you're very strong.
4.
Remember, there is a mana leak.
The mana leak doesn't matter. He's the win on board.
Ooh, it comes into play tapped.
But his opponent does have a tar pit, so he doesn't have the win on board.
Yeah, there's a tar pit. The tar pit makes it not a kill.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't see the tar pit there. I assumed it was a Dark Slick Shores.
And that's a
My
great...
favorite standard card is Oracle of Moldaya. It's the best card right now.
And also, he doesn't have to block the vampire. Or I mean the Colostria. He can block the Vampire Hexmage and not be dead by that line of place.
But if he does that, then he's blocking the wrong guy, and then the Highborn is still in play. It's just...
But I mean, then he's not dead on board. So...
Yeah, no, you're right.
And we got a Grave Titan coming to the mix.
Okay. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter. This red source is going to untap, and Jason's going to bolt him, right?
Yeah. Block him, drain it. It's the power of that Highborn.
Do it. Go ahead.
And I actually don't like the mana leaks here at all. After further thought, especially the Spreading Seas are so good, but if you're having the Spreading Seas, then you have these irrelevant lands that then become useful because the mana leaks are around.
I mean, the only way he's going to win or survive this turn is with a Flash Freeze.
We're looking for one more player.
Well, he just got
for
bolted,
standard Winterbox
so
queue.
Jason
It's
just
a
has to,
55
Mana leak.
standard Winterbox.
And I'll pay.
And
There we go.
well done.
If you're
Jason Gallagher
interested,
gets
log
there.
on
That was a
to
very interesting game. Things
And
going back and forth, and Johnny didn't draw very well toward the end there. So
I misplayed at one point. Like bad that game. I had the red man up.
Like a competitive draft. 3 more seats open in a competitive draft. That's also 50.
And Michael Nielsen fetching immediately, which is a sign of a 1-drop. So now we're going to find out what variety of, in the next turn or two, what variety he is. Goblin Guide doesn't help us. It just is a great opening for him. So the real question is...
it's
is
so
he...
brutal beating a Goblin Guide in the first turn. I don't think I've ever done it.
Oh, it's...
I don't know.
it happens all the time. You know, like... I've played a lot of turn 1 Goblin Guides, and people beat it all the time. So the question is, right, is he Koldotha Red? Is he Sly? Is he Burn Deck?
Could even be Burrows.
That's true, he could be. But well, if we trust in the knowledge of our chat, we might be willing to believe that he is mono.
Yeah. The chat folks seem to think that he's mono red. So.
Yeah. Okay. There it is.
Yeah. The battlement's like really good for this spot.
Yep. And like
We haven't
Conley
even
gets
commented about this
to Conley gets to
guy.
control, right? Like, oh, maybe he is Boros.
He is Burrows.
There we go.
Interesting.
Conley gets to control whether or not that overgrown battlements is important or not. If it's not important, he can just throw it in the way and let his opponent have to kill it.
Snowrush will probably get a Sword of Body and Mind, which seems pretty good
Okay,
against Conley, right?
I don't like that play at all, though. Just the timing of it. What he should do is attack with the Goblin Guide before laying a land. His opponent then will probably, it depends on, again, it's Conley's choice, but oftentimes won't block. You get into 2 free damage, then you reveal the land, and then you follow up with your other play.
As somebody who plays with Battlement pretty often,
Yeah.
I always block. So I feel like you're just giving them the Goblin Guide effect.
A lot of
So,
people, I attack with Goblin Guide a lot. I attack with Goblin Guide a lot. A lot of people don't block because they want to save their battlements. It's important whether or not the battlements actually is of value right now. We got Lotus Cobra going into 1, 2, 3, 4 mana. Is that correct?
He does have access to 4 mana.
Yeah, so he can cast a Jace here.
He might even just play a Tree Speaker and level it up.
That wouldn't be terrible. Spreading Seas.
Jace, he had the Jace.
Yep. Things look really ill for Michael right now.
I don't know about that. I think it might be a lot closer than we think it is.
That Lotus Cobra should die. Jace probably will die.
All on this turn?
All it takes is a burn spell, and that all happens.
Yeah. Like one bolt.
One anything. It could be a burst, could be, you know...
I mean, Arc Trail, and then you get some extra damage. Although I don't think that has Arc Trail. You never know. Arc Trail's really good. I've been playing it in my sideboards and extended.
Arc Trail, there it is.
Yeah.
1 and 2.
I've been really happy with Arc Trail in extended during the first couple weeks. I was really happy with it. So many people were playing Elves and that Necrotic Ooze deck. And it's just so good against both of them. You're like, oh, Fauna Shaman, Bird. You know?
Okay, you're right. This I was quite premature in talking about the game being as problematic as I was thinking it might be for a second.
Probably might just play another Jace here.
Seems reasonable.
What land did he play?
He played a Halimar Depths.
Oh, so he's looking at 3 cards right now with the Halimar decks, or did he complete that process?
Yep.
We've got a leveled Tree Speaker. And now Michael Nielsen, if he draws a land, can put a Sword of Body and Mind on his Goblin Guide.
That guy beats pretty hard. For those of you wondering, Sword of Body and Mind costs 3 to cast and 2 to equip, but the Stoneforge Mystic's activated ability would allow him to put it into play for 2 mana, allowing him to be attacking within a turn early.
2 in hand?
Yep. You have to remember, Conley does have
4 acidic slimes
in his deck, which, like, when we talked to him, he actually said, I needed a way to beat Sword of Body and Mind.
He specifically cited Sword of Body and Mind as one of the reasons.
If I remember correctly, David Williams, during his deck tech at Worlds for this, like, a very similar version of this deck here, David Williams stated that he was having trouble beating Sword of Body and Mind, and Conley instructed him to put the acidic slimes on the sideboard. This deck was originally conceived by Michael Flores, writer for MagicGathering.com. All the writers on that website are absolutely brilliant, by the way.
Yeah, I can't think of one that's any.
I'd like to point that out.
We have the magic 6 mana mark, where he has 7 very powerful plays in the form of Titans. Oof. I'm gonna get some Colony Gardens here, protect the fort.
I mean, they don't protect the fort that well when Sword of Body and Mind is...
Yep. The sword is going to be making at least 4 more damage hitting.
And he gets a Wolfie. It's a Michael Pasque token. Michael has some interesting play options here for his turn. He has a Journey in his hand, so if he rips a white mana, his series of plays is very simple. He just equips the sword and gets to Journey the Titan.
Yep.
But if he doesn't draw another land here, he's got a pretty big choice between casting that or equipping that sword and casting that Journey there.
But he has it.
So he ripped the land. Journey gets cast, and then rips that sword. In they come.
Take walk here, take 3, and then do it at 8.
So, equipping the...
It's more interesting. Just less damage.
Yeah, not sure about that.
And 11 is much different than 10, especially when you're, when you're bashing for 4/4, then you're playing Arc Trails.
I mean, I think the thought, right, is that he wants to distribute where his damage is coming from. But the difference in this situation is that you aren't playing against... you're playing against a blue-green deck.
6.
What do we got there? Genesis Wave for how much? A lot. Well, we'll find out what happens.
6.
Oh, and a slime. Land and a slime.
Slime. 3 lands.
Okay.
Slime
Ton of
build a
manas.
sword.
Yep.
Make 6.
I don't know if he has anything in his hand to make use of that.
He could Genesis Wave.
Oh yeah, he could Regenesis Wave like a monster.
I mean, he can play his whole hand right now.
Yep.
Pulling 1 blue.
Yep.
I will brainstorm.
Yep.
Those Cobras make a lot of mana. They use another slime now too.
Stop.
He only has 1 white source. You can pick that off.
I play a land this turn already.
It'd be nice if we could pick up all the red sources, but that's not gonna happen.
I did. I think I did at the beginning. To get to 9. I'm pretty sure I did.
No, 7.
Yes. I'll make green, so 3 green and a blue.
To see what happens here. Conley's in a precarious place here. 8
Yeah.
life is not a very safe place when you're playing against a red deck.
Well, because it's red-white, the amount of burn that this deck is likely to have is much less. At most, it will probably be like 3 burst, 4 bolt, 4 arc trail. I'd be willing to bet it's less than that, though.
Oh, it's got to be less than that, but I mean, it's still
God, look at this.
getting fun.
Green. Yeah. 2 points.
Now, if there's another Sword of Body and Mind in the deck and in hand, that would actually be a pretty devastating moment.
Make 4
Be able to get his opponent down to 3.
Does Conley still have that Jason play?
It might be off board. I mean, he's got so much in play that it could be
Good.
just off.
the side?
Yeah.
Never move that
That's a good
Jason too
turn.
far to the side. If you forget about that, that's pretty bad. I mean, that's how wave works in this deck. That is, like, it may seem like that was absurd, but that was actually just an everyday wave.
It wasn't actually that crazy of a wave. It was like,
He could have hit multiple Frost Titans. He could have. How nice would it be to wave into an Eternal Witness?
is that Legacy?
Let's do it.
I do like brewing with you.
Sure.
You're at 7.
Yep.
Go ahead.
2-headed giant players, your pairings are posted. 2-headed giant players, your pairings are posted on the events screen over here by the events registration table.
Now remember, his opponent could be Michael Nielsen's opponent, Conley, could be at 6 life right now, which we'll see if that ends up being relevant.
Wow. 5 totals. Is that what you want? Harmony 7, light 8.
Spike Shot Elder. I'm excited that Spike Shot Elder's seeing Destructive play.
It's a good
I
card.
was hoping he would when I first saw him.
Okay. Right now, this is Adrian Sullivan, and I'm here with Jacob Van Lunen at Star City Games Live, bringing you coverage of the Kansas City Standard Open Series. And we're watching the 5th round matchup here between Conley Woods playing blue-green Genesis Wave and Michael Nielsen playing a Boros deck. We've already gotten to that point in the match where the Wave deck has shifted towards aggression.
Yes.
It's brought down pretty low, though, by the initial wave that Michael Nielsen brought. And he's still in the game. It's just not looking very good for him. I mean, all it would really take is a burn spell, like, say, 2 lightning bolts, and that would get him there. Now that spreading seas is actually really devastating. If he can get another spreading seas or an acidic slime, then the 2-bolt plan won't get him out. And that is an acidic slime. So now he needs a... Oh my goodness. Yeah. He needs a mountain and 2 bolts now.
One is 10.
Pardon me. 2 mountains. That Frost Titan is just a
I
monster.
had 4 left in my deck. He didn't mill any.
Okay, so looking at
3 each. No, I'm at 6.
where we're at with the match, Conley Woods just has a slew of stuff out there. He's basically 1 turn away from killing Michael Nielsen. And I can't see what Michael Nielsen's hand is, but it has to be a pair of bolts.
So close.
Yeah, and not enough to get there.
I screwed up 1 turn. I forgot that Goblin Guy triggered a attack my token.
You see how close that was?
Well, that
Yeah.
Genesis Wave.
Well, no, that's why I kept going, because I knew I needed a Genesis Wave, but, like, I forgot that if I know Goblin Guy triggers, I just instead of putting a Jason on top.
Now Conley is looking pretty characteristically comfortable and calm in this match. And I know that he had spoken very specifically about the exact card that he faced, sort of Body and Mind, as one of the big reasons why he ended up putting in acidic slimes into the main of this version of Genesis Wave. Another thing to remember with Genesis Wave is that when he's packing Spreading Seas, Acidic Slime, Frost Titan, and Tectonic Edge all as 4-ofs, he really can get an aggressive mana denial draw. And in this case, it almost certainly knocked out the last hopes that Michael Nielsen had of being able to get out, where at one point all he really needed to do was have like 1 bolt of one kind, and even an Arc Trail would get there. Suddenly he was in a position where he had to have Bolt, Mountain out of a total of 3 cards. So his options to get out were pretty small.
Do we know how many Baloths Conley had on his board? Do you remember?
No idea. That's 1-0 Conley Woods over Michael Nielsen.
Michael Nielsen is, of course, in this feature match because he is famous as the son of Leslie Nielsen, famous actor.
Our condolences. But perhaps more appropriately, he is the runner-up this year for the Kansas State Championship. So
he was also battling with Red.
Yeah, a local hero. Now, if I'm Michael and I'm playing a Boros deck,
I like that choice for this tournament.
it's interesting. Like, in this matchup, he has marks, which he should probably bring in, but he also wants to make sure that he keeps his game aggressive enough for those marks to be a threat for a kill. So, I'm guessing if he has the Squadron Hawk package, it's probable that that package might come out, just being too slow. He might not be running a Squadron Hawk package, but most of the Boros decks I've been seeing lately are Squadron Hawk decks.
I like Squadron Hawks.
Yeah.
I think the threat of having Squadron Hawk when you're Stoneforge Mist King for adventuring gear is just very strong. You basically have like an endless stream of plated GPs.
Yeah. And
with flying.
I think in this matchup, it's just not particularly exciting. It's just too short of or too slow of a clock. Spending a lot of effort to get a couple of guys in the air. Yeah. He might have.
When you're fighting Grave Titans, though.
What do you think of the possibility of Basilisk Collar as a potential Elder card to put on your Spike Shot Elder?
I mean, that seems like it could be like a very reasonable choice. At this point, though, you're. I can't see Conley keeping in the Cobras.
Mm-hmm.
I also am not sure about the Tree Speakers. I don't know how much he really decided in its place, and he has to stay somewhat aggressive.
Right. Because I mean, as an aggressive card, Spike Shot Elder is not great. Yeah. So I mean, Elder is another card that could go. And if Elder goes, then something like a Collar also seems like it's not likely to be brought in.
Yeah.
Even though Elder Collar is a great answer to the big giants.
It is. And the thing about Conley's deck, though, is when Conley's deck does what it wants to do, it's not just one big giant thing. But Michael's deck has what you want to prevent Conley's deck from doing what it wants to do.
I think we both want him to. I have 0 teams. Probably. He has 1 drop that kills
me. I think what you want your deck to be like is you want your deck to be as aggressive as possible. So anything that makes you take your time up, like Spike Shot Elder, like the Squadron Hawks, unless they're putting on a really relevant clock, I would be surprised if he still has those cards, if he has that much to bring in even. He might not have very much to bring in. It looks like he's also mulliganing his first hand.
I'm really hoping Conley does well here. It'd be interesting to see him, if he picks up a lot of points here, then I could see Conley chasing the Star City Games tournaments quite a bit.
I mean, it's just starting
essentially
to see, just right now. This is the beginning of a new race.
Yeah, and I'd love to see a player like him going to all the events.
Oh my god. And I think that one of those things, once you have a player like Conley coming into a lot of the events, one of the other things that comes out of it is, I think there's an incentive, because of the way that Magic is such a social game. If you know that your friends are going to be showing up, you can show up, and then so from there you can have other players that are some of the big names showing up at these. We already have quite a few people that are here that are really surprisingly big names. I think, when we're talking about, Gerry Thompson, or if we're talking about, I'll say Michael Jacob as some of the bigger names. I wouldn't have expected Michael Jacob to be here at this event, but he came down, I believe, from Michigan for it.
It's a pretty long drive. It's got to be 8 hours.
Yeah, he milled 2 more.
We're told that he sprouted wings and flew, but either way.
What's an airplane? Are we talking about the future? What year is this?
That's right.
Sure.
What he's hoping for here is a Goblin Guide opening, and there it is. Now remember, this was a Goblin Guide opening last game. Conley was on the play last game.
Goblin Guide on the play is much different than Conley.
Yeah, I mean, I think he actually probably would have won the game if he hadn't been, if Michael had been on the play. I think his draw would have been aggressive enough to win that.
Almost certainly.
Oh, double Goblin Guide. That is devastating. That second card that is revealed, is that an Obstinate Bailoff? He gets a land and an Obstinate Bailoff? Yep. And is Michael out of land? He's just got the 2. And there's a Ratchet Bomb. Okay, you need a land here and a plated Geopede. That's what you need. And there's a Halimar Depths. There's a Tectonic Edge.
Oh, wow.
And land creature or probable GG.
Things? Wow.
Oh, wow. I will predict it's over.
As will I.
I mean, there is the possibility that he could just burn him out. I mean, I can't see his hand well enough to tell if that is in the cards, but
it seems unlikely. He has to have a lot of bolts in his hand to burn him out from this spot.
Go ahead.
I'm just trying to find a path.
Yeah.
That's all you can do is try to find that path. And I bet you that there's the possibility of a slime or a cease.
Yeah, he would have to have more than 4 bolts because there's an option of Bailoff going down this turn, right? Or does he not have the second green?
He has the second green. He casts an
he has the
overgrown
battlement,
battlement.
right?
Yeah, the battlement's there. Jason Stead. I'm fine with that play at this life.
So am I.
Oh yeah, burying most likely a land.
Good.
Yeah, I would be unsurprised if Michael's deck only has 22 or 23 lands.
It's not unreasonable. There was a time when an aggressive deck like Michael's would probably have anywhere from 19 to 21 lands, and things have changed. The game has definitely progressed in a way.
Yep.
But lands also do things now. Lands are spells these days, so...
This is true. Oh, Doctor. Okay. Yeah, that's it.
Conley takes down a
My hand at
very
the end of
difficult
that game
matchup.
was the first game I had an Arc Trail and a Goblin Guide.
Yeah.
So I think I might have been able to kill you if you didn't get the slime and cross-eyed.
Conley Woods, king of the wild frontier.